Hey everybody, it's Carrie with CR2F.
Cool, I'm Cleona. I'm George.
And we wanted to wish you Happy Easter. So, Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
We are going to be dyeing eggs in a little bit, but in the meantime, we wanted to show you, we're going to Easter eggs. The kiddos, oh, you want to tell them about yours, because yours is different than mine.
So, mine, I'm only doing one big one.
And I drew a bunch of little Easter eggs. George wanted to do one big one too. And there's a bunch of templates online, there's two. And you can choose if you want to draw some zigzags or shapes on the inside, or if you're just ready to paint and see what happens. George, you gonna use that set? Okay. So for paints, we're gonna use Jane Davenport Brights. What are you gonna use? Those are the Prima Classics.
I'm gonna use Jane Davenport.
Those are Jane Davenport Seaglets. That's the name of that palette.
Mom, actually,
we can share. Oh, you know what? We can all share them. We also have the Tropical set by Prima, and then the Jane Davenport Neutrals as well, just to give some options. And it looks like we might all be sharing around.
Blue.
Yeah, you can use my blue. Okay, you have your water. Let's get started. So if you're doing a big one, I would encourage you to pick a place on it and start doing a whole lot there. I'll show you on a...
Mom,
on
which one is dark blue?
Oops. That one's super dark blue. If you're doing a big one, I'm going to show you on my little one, but if you're doing a big one, I would pick a place and start coloring in there with your paint, and then you have some options. And that's why I'm doing one with lots of eggs on it. One option is to just paint the whole thing. Another option is to put your color pretty noticeable at one end, and then get some water on your brush and just blend it down. It can be even more noticeable with deeper colors. Yellow can be a little tricky. You can also, and you just want to rinse off your brush frequently. You're letting it blend. We've talked about that before. Another option, and I've filled this one in. I did use watercolor pencils to do the outline, by the way, so I should be able to at least somewhat blend them in. You can also freehand your eggs, but then I might take another color. Another option is to take another color or colors and drop it in to make a speckled look. What I think is fun about this is you'll get to do things with this paint that you can't do as easily with regular eggs, right? Hey, remember, make sure that you, oh, okay, sorry, you know what, I was gonna correct you, but you were doing it right. You might want a little more water though.
Oh, and you guys, by the way, if you get to dye eggs, if you get the same one as ours with the crayon, you can actually color on your egg, then you can dye it, and then you can have a pattern on it.
That is true. And our eggs are cooling right now. We made them in the Instant Pot. And I'm going to see, I looked online, and apparently you can put, what was that? I said we could dye little pieces of wood. And so we have an old like set of blocks that's like a mini Jenga-ish thing. And so, oh, be careful, you're getting that blue all over the place. And so we're gonna try those and see what happens. I think we have some wooden beads as well, because I thought, you know, the fun is in the dyeing, and I didn't want to use a whole bunch of eggs up, especially in this time where food can be a little harder to come by, because you don't want to go to the store as much.
Because of the, you know,
coronavirus. Yep.
Because it's easy to get. Luckily, none of us has got it.
That's right.
So if you keep on doing watercolor tutorials, well, even if one of us did, whoever got it the other ones could still do like water tutorials.
That's right. And you know, I mean, we all have to be exposed to it. That's part of what this works. We're just trying to slow it down. We're doing our part to slow it down. George, you got to be gentle with that. You're flinging paint. Another thing that you can do is just put drops of water in, no color addition at all, and that can make some pretty cool patterns. You want to be aware of where you're painting. So I'm right-handed. I started on the right. I could have started on the left and moved over, but I didn't. So instead, I either have to be really intentional about where I'm placing my hand down, or I'll be rotating my piece of paper, or you can wait for some to dry. Another thing that I think will look cool, and again, you know, I did not come up with what I was doing with these eggs in advance. So I'm kind of making it up as I go, just because I know different watercolor techniques. So I'm going to be careful, George. Okay, you got to move that slowly, because look.
Well, that's the darkest.
No, look though. Look how you're getting water all over. That's a good reminder for everybody that you want to be careful with watercolor, because although it is, you know, washable with water, there's still pigment in it, and you don't want to flick your brush around. Mine had just wiped off, which is why it was okay. But you wanna just be careful so that you don't want to contaminate other paint colors in your palette.
So pretend that like I flicked accidentally some paint onto Mom's. If I was doing my thing and I flicked some paint onto my mom's, well, you don't want to do that. And also, there's this special type of marker.
Oh, the CR2F.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is right now, but I think it's in my bag. But that one's real cool. You want to tell them what it does? I know we talk about it all the time because it's kind of magic.
Yeah. If you haven't seen our other ones, so pretend that I accidentally went off. You would wait until it's dry, and then boom, it would be fine because it would have dried, then you would use it. But you guys don't forget to get it wet for sometimes after you use it.
That's right. You can get the pigment off that way. You can make a lot of the patterns either that you would have made with your crayon, or and I'm gonna be fine at the bottom here. You can make them on your eggs still, and either wait for it to dry. So like if I wanted to, if I didn't want it to blend, I have this little line here that I might have drawn on an egg, right, or painted on an egg, and I can just leave it there and let it dry, and then paint another color next to it, and we'll see if this works, because sometimes this messes up, but that's okay. It's just a little adventure. I'm gonna very carefully, I could have even gotten a smaller brush, but I'm gonna see if I can do it and fill in the rest of the egg, but leave a white line in between, because when watercolor paint touches watercolor paint, it runs together. That's kind of the thing here. Unlike some other types of paint, that it's not gonna blend together in the same way. But what I am going to need to do, again, because I'm right-handed and for where I'm painting, is to do that other side of it like this, which I think I'll do in a purple. I'm going to need to very carefully turn my paper upside down. So managed it though. Let's see if I can do this one too. It's harder because I am further away. Sorry for getting the top. Oh, and you might be wondering what this is on my head. Cleona made me a crown, so I thought I'd wear it. She made it out of pipe cleaners. Isn't it fun?
Yeah, I
do I have it on right? No? You want it like that now? We've been wearing it all sorts of ways. So, all right. Yeah, fun with pipe cleaners. I saw recently my twin sister sent me, I haven't told you guys about this yet. She sent me a link to a Pinterest pin about different animal shapes that you can make with pipe cleaners, and so
Mom,
we might be trying that.
Make a little bit of this tape off so I can make the other heart.
Sure, buddy. So since George doesn't have tons of water on it, be careful please. doesn't have tons of water on his, I can remove his tape. You can fold it back if you want. And tape is optional. If you don't have tape, you don't have to use it. You can also use painter's tape. If that, like actual painter's tape, like you would use for a project in your house, like painting project. So lots of options. All right. So how are you guys' eggs coming?
Good. I just need to know how to put this in.
Well, so that brush is really not a watercolor brush. It's an acrylic paint brush. I would like you to use a different brush after this.
Okay. I accidentally messed up.
What'd you mess up, buddy?
Look. I didn't mean for this to be.
I think it's awesome. Yeah. So I will share our final results when they are done, but you can do whatever you want to the eggs, and you can get really elaborate if you want. I mean, I'm just filling them all in because that's what I was, what felt fun to me. But if you wanted, you could, maybe I'll do one more after this that is, I just think the blends are cool looking too. You can write on them afterwards, like you can write on top of them, put ink on them to give them designs. But if I wanted to, let me use some of this. I could just do tiny little dots all over them. And you can really methodically paint it if you want. You could do squares or triangles. Ooh, I should do one of my triangle eggs. One of the things I really like to paint, actually, I think I have one over there. Oh, here's one. I like to just freehand triangles, and I like to do the dripping method. I feel like it almost looks like there's a light behind it. Kind of looks like a stained glass window. You can tell I did this one without any tape. Well, actually, I guess I used tape, but maybe I just didn't let it get all the way dry before I untaped it because it's so curved. But you can do the little dots. This is also when I paint sunflowers a lot of the times. I do little tiny dots in the middle.
This is mine.
Well, let me see, George. Oh, I love it. Oh, I like that you added those other hearts to it too.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job, dude.
Mom, can I go bring the blower that dries our paintings?
You can get it. Well, I'm not going to use it, but until after. But we can show it to people. It's right by the kitchen sink.
I know.
Okay. And so
there's this paint dryer thing that we have. It's not like a blow dryer you use for your hair, but it's like to dry your paintings. Like we'll use it like. We'll show you how it does it, but just like during the video, just like not yet because we're not done with our paintings.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna be using it in this video, by the way. So.
Well, I'm gonna tell them how to use it, but I'm not actually gonna use it because I don't need to. But I bought it because sometimes I as you might have guessed, I paint a lot, and sometimes it's really nice to be able to.
Just have it over here, a stand for putting your painting and then drying it. But
maybe we'll come up with one of those. That's a good idea. But right now, I just want to finish telling them, and then we're gonna let them go.
No, please, could we just finish our Easter eggs and then dry them, and then we can show the magic tricks like when we touch it. No paint, because we dried it.
Yes, you know what though? We're gonna do that separately though, because I'm gonna wait till we're all the way done painting.
How about we put the whole entire video together?
That's what I'm gonna do, George.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but for now, I just want to tell them about the dryer part, which is just basically.
You guys are locked in jail.
Oh goodness. Which is basically what I just described, and so it was like $15 on Amazon. I can link to it. You could also use a regular hair dryer, I think. But like on a low setting, but that could be really challenging to control well. And if your paper is really wet, the paint will move. So, all right. Well, anyway, I think that's it. So, George, do you want to come back over so you can? All right. So we're gonna finish up our eggs, and I'll show you what it looks like. And if I can get a video of the drying process, I totally will. And, yeah, we just wanted to say bye. Have a happy rest of your Easter. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, okay, so we'd tell you about the dryer. So this is what it looks like. And I'm going to turn it on. I plugged it in. And if you look, so you can see that there's some sheen here. And I'm just gonna, you can even see the water moving on it, but I'm just gonna dry my painting with it. I promised George I'd show you guys. So I did this purple one after I stopped recording. Here we go. And then I'm gonna, it's harder on this dot, right? Because if you blow too hard, sorry for all the multiple lights here and shadows, but if I blow too hard, it's gonna ruin my shape that I'm going for. So I'm trying to move it around a lot. Kind of like when you dry your hair, you don't wanna stay on the same spot for a super long time. Move it around a lot so it doesn't get too hot. So I'll do more of that in a minute, but yep, that's how you do it.
Watch as I make my hand not get paint on it when I painted the Easter egg.
Cool. Thanks, George.
Bye-bye.